grade, welcome to reading class this Monday, May 4th. I'm excited because we are starting our poetry unit. So the things that you are going to need for this class is something to write with, and in your packet you have two items that I want you to take out, two sheets. One of it says the sounds of poetry, and it gives you examples. We're going to go through that. And the other one actually says the sounds of poetry, and it has the examples along with some lines underneath. I'm going to walk you through some of these examples, and then I'm going to leave it up to you for you to create some of your own examples for some of these elements of poetry. So we are going to work with poetry today, and we're going to work with some basic elements that we're going to find. So basically we're going to do some different types of poetry throughout the week, and then you're going to do some of your own examples. But for the sake of today, we're just going to look at some of the things that poets use to help make poetry flow. And I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but when we did Maybe, that entire book was written in poetry form. And she used quite a few of these. And I will refer to these sometimes when we go back as we move on in the poetry unit. And we'll take a look back at Maybe and see what are some of the evidence of poetry in that book as well. But for today, we're going to take a look at our sheets. And one of the first things, so I want you to have them both out in front of you. The one that says name and date, right now you're going to write your name. And then the date today is May 4th, 2020. And it says on the top, write an example of each of the following that goes with the picture. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is alliteration. And it says, repeat the beginning consonant sounds and words. So what you're going to do is go back to your instructional page that looks like this. And I look at alliteration, and it says, repeat the beginning sounds and words. So it's just a device that poets use. And they have the daring dog dropped D-dime. So it says have fun with the words. So it was the d sound that we heard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my example, and then you are responsible for writing yours. So I put down the crazy cat can crunch candy. So I have my C. So what you're going to do when you provide an alliteration example is you are going to write a sentence, but make sure that you have a consonant sound, a sound that is throughout your sentence. Like they did, the daring dog dropped a dime. I have the crazy cat can crunch candy. So now you have another line. I want you to write yours. Now, whether you do this now or later, you can pause the video and do it, or you can wait and finish it later. It's up to you, okay? All right, the next one we have is assonance, and that's where you repeat the vowel sounds and words. So that's up here, and that's on your sheet. So I'm gonna look back at the other sheet, and their example they have is the rain makes waves on the panes. So that's the vowel sound. These were consonants, that was vowel. So it had A in it. Mine, I put down the chick licks sticks and bricks. So what is the assonance that you hear in here? What is the vowel sound that is common throughout this line? You're right, it's the I sound. So the chick licks sticks and bricks. So make sure when you write yours on the next line, underneath, then you are also going to either circle, underline, or highlight your vowel sound. Okay? So then we look at our next one, end rhyme. Rhyme the words at the end of two or more lines of poetry. So this is typical, anything that rhymes, we think, oh, and that's normally what you think of poetry. If it rhymes, it's poetry. Not necessarily, but in this way, we are going to do that. So I look back at the instructional sheet, and it says, so it's the first one, it says, chocolate candy is sweet and yummy. It goes down smoothly in my tummy. And it says this is a couplet, couple. A couple is usually two. And so that's two lines that rhyme together. And I did one, I don't know, I like this one. I saw the horse and that picture next to it, so this was mine. And I said, the horse chews on grass. It is gone very fast. So grass, fast, close enough, all right? So make sure that the two words rhyme at the end. All right, so let's do another one. We're moving on. Our next one, we said, ooh, this is a big word. This is onomatopoeia. Can you say that? Onomatopoeia. And that's where you use words that sound like the noise. So their example for onomatopoeia is the buzz of the saw was loud. So it's kind of like that's what it actually sounds like, the buzz. So I did the chirping of the bird sounded sweet. So chirping would be an example of onomatopoeia because it's like chirp, chirp, chirp. It's kind of like the word sounds like the actual sound. Like buzz sounds like buzz, buzz. Chirp, 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 chirp. Or tweet, 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 tweet. The tweeting, right? So it's kind of like think of a word that sounds like what it is, okay? So our next one we have is personification. Oh, I love this one. This is so fun. Personification compares something that is not human to a human by giving it human qualities. So let's look at their example on the instructional sheet. They have the sunflower smiled at us. Now a sunflower is not gonna smile at you. And if it does, it's like a very creepy sunflower, but I don't think that's gonna happen because they don't have mouths, so. All right, anyway, so what I did is like, so you're basically giving an inanimate object human qualities, okay? So if we look over here, what I did is the car hummed along the road. Now, can a car hum? I mean, a car can make noise. I mean, I hear cars outside my window right now, but it is a car going, no, it's not going to do that. Or maybe the bike sprinted across the street, or something like that. Think about like an inanimate object that's not alive, you're gonna give it a human quality, like smiled, ran, sprinted, jumped. Think about things that you can do and then look around your house and see, or look outside the window, or go outside, better yet, go outside and see what kind of object can actually have these qualities. All right? All right, so the next one is a simile, comparing two unlike things using the words like or as. So with the simile, in our instructional sheet, let's go back, and it says, the man is as slippery as a snake. I don't know how he'd be that way, but that's okay. All right, so comparing a man to a snake. So I'm gonna do the boy waddled like a duck. So that would be a simile. So the boy is kind of like this. Maybe the boy is walking along. Maybe he's like a toddler, right? Just learning how to walk. So when they're just learning to walk, toddlers kind of waddle. So maybe you can even say, rather than the boy, the toddler waddled like a duck, right? So you're comparing two things that are very unlike each other, but it helps you create a picture like, oh, it's better to say the boy waddled like a duck rather than the boy walked. Well, because if I'm thinking the boy walked, I'm picturing this. But if the boy waddled, I'm kind of picturing this. So that's the whole point of poetry, is they use these different devices so that you can picture things in your head easier rather than just using simple statements, okay? So let's look at the last one, metaphor. Compare two unlike things without using the words like or as. So let's take a look at our last one, our last example. Look at your instructional sheet, and it says the moon is a yellow balloon, okay? So it doesn't say it's like it says it is that. And so I kind of went with the whole space thing, and I put down the sun is a shield of warmth. Now, is the sun really a shield? No, not necessarily. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, I was cold, I went outside, and this big shield of warmth kept me warm. And I was like, oh, okay. And you can understand what that is. So that would be a metaphor. So to remind you of your assignment, you are going, now I gave you examples. We went through the examples on the instructional sheet. Your job now is to create one more of each of these, okay? So I am expecting to see an alliteration, an assonance, an end rhyme, an onomatopoeia, personification, simile, and metaphor from you. All right? So I look forward to seeing your work. Have fun with poetry. Poetry is a lot of fun. It's something different. And take advantage of doing this activity, because then once we get into poetry, we're going to start using some of these devices, which will help us create great word pictures. I'm looking forward to seeing your work.